Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen and welcome to this week's edition of SecondsOut FLEXpectations, our weekly preview show, out every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. And this week we're looking ahead predominantly to Josh Warrington's latest defence of his IBF featherweight world title. It's not the unification fight he was hoping for. It's not the trip out to the States that he was hoping for either. It's a potentially tricky defence against Sofiane Takoucht, French challenger, who's I believe the highest rated contender at the moment, even though this isn't a mandatory, the highest rated contender in the IBF ratings. But not a big name, not an explosive style, aggressive style certainly, but not an explosive style, not an eye-catching style necessarily. And it's going to be a difficult sell, this fight, it's fair to say, not just for the fans. Warrington has always been relied upon to sell tickets in Leeds, so that's where the fight is, so I'm not too worried about that. But more so for Warrington himself, motivation, even though, as all boxers do, he's denied any kind of worries on that score in the build-up. It's going to be an issue. He's coming off 3 fights and 3 wins against really good opposition in Lee Selby, Carl Frampton and Kid Galahad. Varying degrees of dominance in those fights, but regardless, they were big fights, grudge fight in the Kid Galahad case. It didn't translate to an exciting spectacle on the night, but there was a real grudge there, there was a real desire to win. The other two, beat 2 world-class operators in fights in which he was the underdog going in. How do you go from that to a Takoucht and stay motivated when it seems like this situation's reversed? It'd be easy for Warrington to kind of see this as a mark-in-time affair before he finally nails down those unification contests against the likes of Leo Santa Cruz or Gary Russell Jr. But then Takoucht has got everything to gain and nothing to lose. No one's expecting too much of him. It's expected to be a routine win for Warrington in his lead stronghold. And Takoucht can come in without much kind of attention on him. We saw at a press conference yesterday. Didn't have much to say for himself. English isn't his first language, of course. And he can just kind of prepare as he has done throughout, under the radar, diligently, and hope to spring the upset. Now, if Warrington's on his game, I don't see it even coming close to an upset. He's fought at a much higher level, fights at a much faster pace. He's the stronger man, he looks to be anyway, and he looks to have the greater power, despite a knockout percentage on his record that belies that. As Carl Frampton will attest to, Warrington can really dig. So if he's at 100%, Takoucht probably won't even make the final bell, although he hasn't been stopped before, so that's a fairly big statement. But if he has taken lightly, if he has been guilty of looking too far ahead or becoming complacent, then you've got to feel that the heart and desire from Takoucht will at least make it close. So it's well worth watching on BT Sport at the weekend. And a fairly decent undercard, maybe not as great as I'd have liked. You've got local draws, or relatively local draws, from Manchester in Zelfa Barrett and Lyndon Arthur, both in Commonwealth title fights. Arthur challenging and Barrett defending for the first time against Jordan McCorry, which is a decent fight. Barrett's coming off that kind of dazzling win over Leon Woodstock. Now he's got someone in Jordan McCorry, very aggressive, who will chase him, but style-wise looks made for Barrett, and it might even be an easier fight for him than the Woodstock fight. No disrespect to McCorry, he's a good fighter, front foot fighter, very good to watch, but you just got to think that Barrett, in this vein of form and constantly improving under his uncle, of course, Pat Barrett, will get the job done. Arthur is fighting a guy called Emmanuel Anim, who doesn't seem to have been tested before, outside of Africa certainly. We've been waiting ages for Arthur to step up. There's an article on our website at the moment called Overprotected, where we talk about 3 fighters who we'd really like to see step up. I don't believe this is that step up for Arthur. I think he'll get the job done in destructive fashion inside the distance, and I think then we need to see him in some real tests. He didn't have a lot of amateur experience, and I understand why they're being careful with him, but right now is the time to really see what he can do, and if they're as confident in his ability as they say, there's no reason at all to keep holding him on that short leash. So a decent enough undercard, but yeah, the main event is the one we're there to see, if for nothing else than the great atmosphere that you will see in Leeds for Warrington, who's the hometown hero. Another big event happening this weekend, although not as big as it was previously, is the heavyweight debut from former cruiserweight Supremo. Dominated all before him, won the Ali trophy, of course, and unified all the belts. Oleksandr Usyk. We're all excited to see how he gets on at heavyweight, but I don't know how much we're going to know about that after he predictably, I would say, and I'm ready to have egg on my face on Monday, destroys Chaz Witherspoon, who is He was a trial horse years and years ago, and now he's just a really old, less active trial horse. And he's obviously come in as a late substitute for Tyrone Spong, who produced adverse findings on a drug test. And I understand it was probably difficult to get someone quality in on short notice, but I've got to feel they could have done better than Witherspoon. I can't see anything other than a showcase fight here for Usyk, which maybe is a good thing overall. But after this, I think there'll be calls for him to be matched a lot tougher. Bear in mind, originally when they talked about his heavyweight debut, they were talking about the likes of, Michael Hunter rematch, or for a long time it was going to be Carlos Takoucht. These are much sterner tests at heavyweight than the likes of even Spong, but also Chaz Witherspoon. So let's hope he gets better opposition afterwards. But you can watch his media workout. It's just gone live on our channel, so you can watch that and see him entertain the crowd. It might be as entertaining or more so than what you see in the ring on Saturday night. So I'll be back next week for FLEXpectations, 4:30 p.m. Thursday. I'll be here to reflect on the weekend's action Monday in Reflections, 4:30 p.m. again. Let me know what you think in the comments below of Josh Warrington's test against Takoucht, and also Oleksandr Usyk's late replacement Chaz Witherspoon. Could they have done better? Let us know, and I'll respond to some of the comments. Really appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you again soon.